As a single parent of two young boys and coming out of a domestically violent marriage, it was financially difficult for me to take care of my children and give them the kind of future they deserved. I didn't have solid income outside of welfare, which I refused to live off the system any longer than need be. I felt the only way to accomplish my goals that I wanted for my children was to join the military. When I met with my recruiter, I had specific expectations in order to join. My first priority was to make sure my kids were able to reside with me on post and that they would have a great education. The word of my recruiter and the values of the U.S. Army was to be a hold, so I believed. So on March 26, 2008, I enlisted in the United States Army as an E2. I was then shipped to my permanent duty station in Fort Bliss, Texas. However, the feeling of bliss was the last thing I was feeling. At this point, I had every intention to make the military a career choice and was proud to be an American. However, I learned very early on as a single parent in the United States Army, I was unable to have my children reside with me for the first 4 years of my military career. I was in shock. I immediately went to my platoon sergeant and then ladder up to the chain of command. There was no way out. I was completely devastated and my morale was completely dropped. I had been tricked and lied to so my recruiter could make his quota. If I had been properly informed of my limitations, I might have gladly joined and would have become an even more stand-up soldier. But this lie was unacceptable. I had been a stay-home mom and wife for 10 years, so to be separated from my children was not an option. I started to have severe anxiety attacks, and I developed depression and mental instability. I was beginning to lose my mind, on top of the abuse that I was facing from my chain of command, with constant harassment and hazing. At this point, I could no longer deal with being in the Army, and I just simply wanted out. One day I was told by my mental health doctor I could take the extreme path that soldiers chose to go, which included the option to test positive for drugs. Since we were on a border town, it was easy to obtain drugs. So out of desperation, my drug addiction began. Along with my addiction, I informed my squad leader I am not showing up to first formation due to the knee injury and the physical profile I was on. For this, the Army took me to prison and put me into solitary confinement for 30 days, with the threat of 2-year sentence when my second UA had come up dirty. Naturally, I abided by the rules at this point in order to get out. I had a hard time adapting back into the civilian sector, and I had a bad drug habit to kick. I had nowhere to go, I was homeless and without a job. I was depressed and then disgusted with the United States Army and myself. My dreams and hopes had all fallen apart, and most of my biggest fears was a reality. I had lost my children. I spiraled down from there and went into heavy drug and alcohol abuse. I thankfully got to the turning point where I knew that if I ever wanted stability, I needed to suck it up and drive on. I made this choice to leave El Paso and move to Long Beach, California. I am now residing at the village of Cabrillo, and I am in the U.S. Vets program. I still do not qualify for VA benefits and have no medical coverage for my children nor myself. My sons still reside with their father, and they will continue to stay with their father for continued stability. I have since gotten clean and sober. I have a roof over my head, and I am in the workforce job program thanks to the U.S. Vets. But I have yet to see my children since 2009. I do believe there is hope, and life is moving forward in a positive direction for me. I am grateful to the U.S. Vets for assisting me in this right direction. Outside of my experience, I do want it to be known that not all people in the military in our chain of command share this unfortunate mentality. I am proud to have served, and in my heart, I will always be a soldier. It has changed my life for the best, and it has prompted discipline, structure, unity, strength, courage, family, and a pride in my country. If I had to do it all over again, the only thing I would change is how I've been completely informed that I could make a more educated decision. I still support our military troops and my fellow battle buddies who are serving and putting their lives on the line for what they believe in, to uphold the freedom and liberation for this great country. I am willing to tell my story as long as it helps to liberate and empower other females and to give them hope in knowing that they too can take the power back, create a beautiful life for themselves, and no longer live in fear under the mental torment of another human being. This is my story.